Welcome to the CAD Office Training Guide video series for FDOT Connect. I'm Chris Thorpe, CAD support specialist here in the central office, primarily working on the Bentley side with OpenRoads and our FDOT Connect software. In this series of videos, I will begin going through the Plan Development Workflow Training Guide. I will take you step by step through each exercise from the guide. This training course is set to introduce OpenRoads Designer Connect Edition, OpenRoads technology tools for plan development workflows on the FDOT projects. The curriculum was developed within the FDOT Connect workspace to provide sample exercises for most of the new plan development tools on a sample project dataset to include the following. We're going to cover key sheet, the signature sheet, typical section sheets, general notes sheet, plan sheets, plan profile sheets, cross-section sheets, and then we'll also get into plan sheet annotation and indexing, as well as plan labeling. Today's video is going to cover Chapter 1, which is the key sheet. And the key sheet is defined as the first sheet in the contract plans. The key sheet describes the project, the contents of the plans, and identifies those responsible for preparing the plans. All requirements for the key sheet can be found in Part 3, Chapter 302 of the FDOT Design Manual. So with that, let's begin. Topics covered in this video is going to be, like I said, the key sheet. So what we're going to do is we'll create the key sheet. Then we're going to place and edit the components of a contract plan set, create and place the key sheet index, place the range and township map labels, also place the contract revision note. And this is an optional step. Not all projects will necessarily have this. And then finally, we will index the key sheet. So starting in Chapter 1 of the FDOT Connect ORD Plan Development Workflow Guide, first thing we want to do is use the FDOT Connect for OpenRoads Designer icon on your desktop to launch the program. And I've already got it open, but let me close this so that then once we open the product, what we want to do is we want to set our workspace to FDOT, make sure that's set there. And then we also want to select our work set to the dataset project, which is the 220-495-55201_CE. And then what we'll want to do is in order to create our QC compliant files, we'll actually need to jump into a file. So we'll just go ahead and browse. And we're going to open up this blank file that's provided with every new work set that gets created. And once we're in the blank file, what we want to do is we want to make sure we're on the OpenRoads modeling workflow. And we want to switch to the FDOT tab. And then we'll just come and click on our Create File application. And the file we're going to be creating right now is going to be our key sheet file. So make sure discipline is set to roadway, file group set to roadway sheet files, and we'll just scroll through and find key sheet right there. So we don't need to change anything else in the Create File dialog. It's going to give us our sequence number right here as well. It's going to give us our output folder. It pulls the seed file. And if your county is not set, the county for this dataset project is Wakulla. So just click on that drop down and we'll select Wakulla. And setting the county also sets our coordinate system. And then we've got a couple actions in here that it's going to do once we create and open the file. So with that filled out, let's go ahead and do Create Open File. And now that we're in our key sheet file, we can close Create File dialog. So the first thing you'll need to do with the key sheet is actually download your county map. So what we can do is from the FDOT tab, this resources group right here, if we'll do our FDOT links, we can come to our county maps, and that'll take us out to the web. And what we want to do is we want to grab the color PDF from the central column here. Scroll all the way down, we'll grab our Wakulla County. What we want to do is we want to right click and we want to save link as. And then what we want to do is we want to browse to our project folder. And we'll be placing this into our ROW map folder. So with the data set we've already got this PDF provided, so you may not have to go get it for this data set, but this is the site that you'll go to for your projects. So let me just cancel out of there because I already have it. Close my browser and come back into OpenRoads. So once we have that downloaded, what we want to do is we want to switch to our Home tab, and then we're going to attach that PDF as a reference. So I'll grab my attach reference, and then I'm going to switch to the right away map folder. And you may need to change your file types down here. So I'll just do all files. And then I'll grab that Wakulla PDF. Hit open. And on the attach reference dialog, we want to make sure that we set our detail scale to full size 1:1. And then everything else is fine as is. So then we'll just click OK. And then now I can go ahead and close my reference dialog. And then I'll just do a fit view. And there are some display quirks within the OpenRoads software. So if you do a fit view and it's not showing up, you may just need to do it like a zoom in, zoom out on your mouse, and that'll just refresh your view. So there's my map attached in there. And now the next thing I want to do is I want to zoom into the project location. So we'll just kind of zoom in here. And it may need just a minute or so to refresh as you zoom in. So there we go. So our project location is at the intersection of US 319, State Road 61, and US 98 right down here. So now that we're zoomed in and can see the project location, what we want to do is we want to navigate to our drawing production tab, and we'll select our name boundary. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that our mode is set to from drawing boundary. And then we can click on this drawing boundary seed drop down right here. And so we've got a few seeds in here. The one that we want is this key map layout. If you have a project with federal funds on it, you'll want to select this key map layout federal. So, but we'll just grab the key map layout. And then here we can give it a name. So I'll give it a name of SR61. And then I'll set my detail scale to 1:30. And so now if you'll notice attached to my cursor is a little box. And so we're going to use this box as a frame to place around our project. So once I've got my project centered in there, I'll just left click to place. And now we've got our create drawing dialog. So if you'll notice, it's already been named and it pulled that from the previous dialog. On here, we want to make sure we match our scales. So this one's set at 1:50 currently, but I want to match that to my 1:30 from the name boundary. And everything else should be fine. So once we just make sure that everything on this dialog, create drawing dialog, is set, we'll click OK. And then that's going to go through and create my key sheet for me. And again, just do a little zoom in, zoom out to get that map to display. So once we've got that set up, most of the rest of it is just going to be simple MicroStation tools. So we'll zoom in first down here to the lower left corner for our standard plans notes. And what we can do is we can just double click on the text, or you can also use this edit text up here. So I'm just going to double click on the text here. And that'll open up my text editor. And so for this project, what we're just going to do is we're going to set our fiscal year. So it's already got the FY in there for us. So I'm just going to do 2019-20. And then I'll left click to accept that change. And then the same for the standard specs note down here at the bottom. Double click to grab that one. And then for this one, we're just going to type in July 2019. And again, left click and space to accept that change. So the next one we're going to do is we're going to go and set our construction contract number. We'll double click there and we'll do T-8888. And we'll also set our fiscal year, which is 19. So then while we're down here, we can also set our FDOT project manager. And I'm just going to enter my name for that one. And then we can also enter in, just fill out our EOR information as well. And then we'll do our contract number as well. And then our vendor number. So if you'll notice on the key sheet, we've got a few text fields set up. It's pulled in my project number, my county, and my county number as well as my state road number. But it reads that field entirely, so there's a little bit of redundancy here. So there's just a little bit of cleanup that we'll need to do. So I'll just double click on this text. And then I'll just delete that field and just put in just the number itself. So that's all of just the regular text editing that we'll need to do. Next, we're going to look at exercise 1.2, which is placing and editing the component of contract plan set list. So to bring this up, we'll just bring our cursor out in space somewhere, and we'll do a right click and hold, and we'll get our context menu. And we've set these context menus up based upon file name. So in the key sheet, we'll get some useful little links for key sheet specific stuff. You won't have these same ones in other files, but you will have file specific ones in your other file names. So for this one, what I want to do is I want to grab my component list. And what it's done is it's attached the component list cell to my cursor. And so what I want to do is we've actually created the origin so that we can snap to this upper left border of the sheet. So I'll just snap there, left click to place it, and then I'll just right click to exit that tool. So once we've got it placed, what we'll need to do is just simply double click on the text and remove out any of these components that aren't a part of this project. So I'll just do that now. So and then again, just left click to accept the changes. And we've got that placed in there. So next what we'll need to do is we'll need to create and place key sheet index. So which is our index of roadway plans right here. So what we'll want to do is we'll want to switch back to our FDOT tab. And we will launch the link data manager. And so what we need to do is we need to create a new link. And we're going to create from template. So we'll make sure we're set to text notes here. And then down here towards the middle, sheet index roadway. We'll just go ahead and click OK on that one. And it's going to ask where it wants you to save this file. So let me browse to my roadway folder. And I'll just click save there. And then once we've got that saved, what we want to do is we want to click OK. And it's going to attach that index again to my cursor. So let me just slide this out of the way. And then what we'll do is we'll just snap. We'll just place this one in here. So then what we'll need to do to edit this document, because with all of your LDM stuff, you don't edit the text within your design file. What you want to do is actually right click on here and open that source file. And so it's opened up this text file for me. And then what you'll need to do is just come in here and clean this up a little bit. So for example, we'll take out this example text up here. And in the book, it's got a picture of all of the sheets. So again, we'll just clean this up a little bit more. And then once you're done, what you make sure you want to do is do a file save. And then we can go ahead and close that. And so back in your design file, you'll need to just do a right click and update. So once it does that, depending on any changes in anything that you've made, you may need to move to readjust that. So what we'll do is we'll just do a right click and hold. And then I can just move this back down where I want it. Just slide it back down a little bit. And so that is placing the index of roadway plans. So next what we'll need to do, exercise 1.4, is we're going to place the range and township labels for our map. Slide this over into the middle a little bit. And again, we've got these set up with our context menu. So just out in space, I'll do a right click and hold. And the third one right here in the list is my range map label. So I'll select that. And again, what it does is it just brings up the place cell, and it's already got the selected cell that we want. So then what I'll do is I'll zoom in and make sure I find my range labels. So I'll place that up there, and then we'll also need to place it down at the bottom. So once we've got that placed, I'll just do a right click to get out of the tool. And then again with these, we can just double click the text to edit, and we'll put in the actual ranges for our specific project here. And so for this one, it is, the top one is 2. And you may also need to switch the length for your data field. So just hit OK. And then again, we'll adjust this one down here on the bottom. It's going to be 5 and 1. So what we could have done is we could have just placed the one and then edited the text and then copied that one. So let me actually get rid of this one, and then I'll just copy the one from down below. And there's my range, and then we'll do the same thing for our township labels. And it looks like my township label is right about here, I believe. And you can find these on the county map. If you open up the PDF, it'll show them on there. So maybe just make a note of where yours are on your project before you clip in here. Or if you've got 2 screens, you can just keep the actual PDF up on one screen, and then you'll see the lines to place it from there. So, and then again, just come in, double click to edit your text. Double click on that for your data field. And the top one is 4 for this project. And the lower one is 5 on this project. And again, I should have just placed one and then copied, or placed one, edited the text, and then copy it. So I'll just do a quick copy and copy that one over there. So that is the township and range labels for our key sheet. So next what we'll need to do is we'll need to place our project location label. So what we'll do is first we'll switch to the home tab and make sure we set our label. So we want to set our level rather. So we'll do text. So we want our text label. There we go. And then what we want to do is we want to select our place note tool from the drawing production tab and make sure we set our style to f.small. And over here in the place note dialog, we also want to make sure we set our dimension style. So for the begin project, what we're going to do is we're going to do f.keysheet begin project. And then we'll just fill in the text that we want to place. So begin project and our station number and our milepost. So once we've got our text filled out, what we want to do is we want to zoom into our project a little bit more on the map. And so like I said, it's the intersection of 319 and 98. So this right here. So I'm just going to left click to start my label. And then I'll just drag it out over off of the map here. I'll left click to place that one. And then it's going to be the same process for our end project. But we do want to make sure for that one we switch our dimension style to f.keysheet end project. And then just change our text accordingly. So end project and our ending milepost. And then we'll just come back up a little bit on the project here. It's a relatively short job. So I'll just come up on 61 because the work is actually on US 19 State Road 361 or State Road 61. So then I'll just select right there. And again, just drag it out off of the map and left click to place the text. So now that we've got those placed in there, we also need to place our project location on the map over here on the key sheet. So what we'll do is, again, we'll select our place note tool and make sure we set our dimension style. This time the one we want is f.keysheet locate. So I'll select that one. And then for this, I'll just type in my location of project. And a lot of times you just kind of have to eyeball on the roads where your project is. This one actually shows up entirely. So here's 319 and 98. And our project is right here. So I'll just select that and then drag my label down. Again, left click to place. So those are the project location notes. Now we'll move on to exercise 1.6, which is placing the contract revision note. And again, this is an optional step only if your project actually requires it. So what we'll do is we'll bring up our context menus again. And this time what I want is my contract plans revision note. So again, let's set my tool to place active cell, and it's gone ahead and selected the cell that I need. So if you'll notice, it's just kind of floating out there in space, but that's because we've set the origin of this one so that we can just snap to the border again. So we'll just snap this time to the lower left-hand corner, and I'll place that, and then right-click to exit the tool. So, and there's a couple revisions on this project that we're going to add. So we'll just double-click that top line and just add in my note, financial project, and then our second note. And if you're following along in the guide, these notes are on page 1-15 in that training guide. So, and just left click to place that one. So just to kind of clean up the view a little bit, what we'll want to do from here is come over to our view attributes, and we can just turn off the data fields on there. And so that is, do a fit view here. That is the key sheet creation. So next what we'll do is exercise 1.7. We're going to actually index the key sheet. So what we want to do is we want to switch back to our Home tab, and we're going to open up our Explorer. And so I've already got sheet index selected on mine. When you open yours up, it may be set to Open Road Standards by default. So we'll just make sure we switch to our sheet index tab. And then what I want to do is I want to open my sheet index for editing. So I'll click on this pencil tool right here. And if you'll notice when I do that, I get a few more options along here as well. So, and then I can expand out my sheet index. And for this, I'll also need to open up my models dialog. And so all we need to do is make sure we grab our sheet model that we want to bring over to our index. And then we can just left click on that. Then we'll just do a left click and hold and drag it into our roadway folder. And so now this is the first sheet in our roadway component. And we've also set up our sheet number field to populate once it's added into the index. So if you had previously noticed before that this was SR61, I believe it had down there when we were filling these other fields out. After dropping it in the index, it's now set that sheet number to 1. And then I can just close these. And that's the end of chapter 1. That's going over the creating a key sheet in the FDOT workflow. So that concludes chapter 1 of Key Sheet. And I just want to thank you for joining me today for the FDOT Connect Plan Development Workflow Training Guide. Again, this was chapter 1 on the key sheet. The next video in this series will go over chapter 2, which will cover the signature sheet.